Rick is with the agency, and because I listened to his bio, and I think we pretty much both started on the same block in the 80s. And with that being said, I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure you are too. I will say before we go on, at the end of the conversation, I'm gonna give out a secret word, and if you direct message me, I have this really great, clever thing that I'm doing, which is called the collaborated collab book. And I'm going to take all this and we're going to put it into an ebook and give it to you. You just have to direct message us. So that way, if you're interested. Now, I will say some ground rules here. I don't care if you swear if you're in your little conversations. And certainly I don't care if Rick swears, because we'll Gary V this. But what I do care about is that if you're being disrespectful on the direct message, I will get rid of you. Like in a fucking New York second. Anyway, so, and I'm sure Rick feels the same way, yes?
I feel the same way, yes.
So we have it's 12 o'clock. So, hey, let's start it off in the beginning.
Let's go.
And first of all, I want to give the question, and then I'm going to talk to you. But the question is, how has the commercial industry changed? Because this is not your first rodeo, so to speak. And I know you've been doing this a long time, but before we do that, Rick, it's Ferrari, right?
Ferrari, like the car.
Okay, I knew that. I just didn't want to go wrong, so I went long. Ferrari, Rick Ferrari and Ferrari Agency. Rick, welcome to my little piece of the world.
Well, thank you for having me, Will.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, and see you. Let's just jump right into it. I want to ask you a question about, and we're both going to do the same thing through the whole thing like this. I'm going to be going like this to see if anybody says anything. And I think we have this. We would shop at the same places for our glasses.
I think we do. Look.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, there it is. I like it. Look at that. So here, let's just start off. Let's just start off and get real down and dirty with all this stuff. We know what was. And I remember I started in 1980, and then in 85 I became SAG, and the rest is history. That's when we all went, oh yeah, SAG, that's awesome. I'm actually a professional actor. So things have changed a tad in the commercial world. Back then we had residuals that were affected by only networks, and I think my first commercial I did with my wonderful friend Judith Belay, a casting director in Monterey, made me about $26,000. Now, if I do one and it makes me $5,000, I feel lucky. So how has the industry changed in your opinion, brother?
Well, the watering hole has definitely shrunk. It's definitely it's not as lucrative as it used to be for as many people. It's definitely a smaller pool of people that are enjoying success in it, and I'm very humbly grateful to admit that I am part of that, and I think it just has a lot to do with approaching it from an innovative, efficient way. And I love what I do, which is really bizarre, because when I was first approached to do commercials, I was appalled. I was like, I don't want to do commercials. And I'm sure a lot of actors that were acting in the 90s or the early 2000s can relate to that, because everybody used to turn their nose up at commercials until they started seeing every A-list celebrity, some of them even in 5 or 6 different campaigns, So, especially since COVID, it changed so dramatically with regard to the self-tape part of it. I'd say that self-tapes, became, the complete way that theatrical is done now, if I'm not mistaken.
For the most part, yeah.
But commercially, I'd say it's, I don't know, 60-40, 50-50. It's somewhere. It's definitely, there's a fair share of casting directors that have their own studios, so they definitely encourage their producers to do live auditions, which are always, of course, better for the actor and for the casting director. So luckily for us, commercially, the top casting directors, most of the top casting directors either have their own studios or they're committed to certain studio houses that they always go into. So but that became a big thing. The fact that I could own and operate and run my agency out of my home, where my husband works out of the guest house and I work in the main house, and our other agent, Matthew, works out of his home. Accounting is run out of Tarzana.
Yeah.
So, SAG was okay with that. The Association of Talent Agencies was okay with that. So it's changed, its shape and size and approach is completely changed since COVID. Um, and I'd say that we've seen it coming for a long time. It became much more inclusive and diverse. And, commercial types are not as in fashion, and that's
Great
something to
subject.
really, yeah, it's commercial types, the congenial, the traditional commercial type, where they were the idealized version of a housewife or the idealized version of a mailman, since we were talking about mailmen. um, you know those types don't get normally cast anymore unless they're doing some sort of a parody type of commercial.
That's right.
um, Nowadays, they want to cast commercials gritty and real, as if they were shooting an indie film, or they were shooting something, very, very, Scorsese-esque, that, where the casting is very, very authentic. A lot of
Yeah.
people get confused with what real looks like, what the word real is used for in our industry, because everybody looks at themselves in the mirror and says, well, I'm real,
Yeah.
so why can't it be me?
But wait,
Real just
I'm gonna stop you on that point because I think you just hit on something that I think is major, and this is a
Okay.
major thing for actors out there. Look, during COVID, I was doing before it was even at all popular UGC commercials, and I
Hmm.
did these, and I'm an expert. I used to write them for the companies that were spending
Hmm.
$110,000 on each ad I did, and they were 20 seconds
Wow.
long. I was
Hmm.
making $3,000 a week doing these ads, and they would send it to me. They go, Will, here's our script. I go, yeah, it's too long
Uh-huh.
because here's what's happened. Okay, what's happened is that yeah, back in the '80s. Here, I'll show you something really funny. I have one. I have 8 of these, and in the '80s,
Oh,
I
wow.
did the macro machines. I did a sports car. I did a tank guy. I did everything. Now, the reason why
Uh-huh.
I'm showing you that is because back in the day, they would go, "Hey, we want you to be the guy on the phone, or we want you to be a doctor," and an actor would go, "I'm a doctor," or "I'm a nurse," or whatever,
Right,
and
right,
you would
right, right,
go, "Oh, I get it." Well, that was then. Now,
right.
user generated content is probably one of the best training grounds for actors because they say to you as you put up your phone, because I used to do these. I used to drop it on the ground and pick it up and go, hey, yeah, I want to tell you guys about some thing about implants, and it's really great. If in the first 2 seconds you don't have a real presence, they go scroll. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the
Hmm.
commercial industry has gone from you pretending to
Hmm.
I want to hire someone. That's why sometimes I say the special skills list should
Hmm.
go at the top so they can go, oh, you can ride a horse. Oh, you're
Hmm.
really a doctor. You're really a lawyer.
Hmm.
And
Right.
so the bottom line is that actors stop acting because that's what they
Hmm.
don't want in commercials. So again,
Hmm.
UGC has become popular, but now it's all being taken over by AI and whatever the case may be. So that was the point I wanted to make on how I believe it changed from an actor's standpoint.
Got it. Got it. I agree. Definitely. I agree. It's definitely become, I mean, in a way, it's better for actors because you have to be much more authentic. You know,
Yeah,
I still have people that, that when they do commercial copy, they think they need to do it like this. And they think they need to deliver the line, and I'm like, no, it has
yeah,
to be really, even voiceover. I mean, they don't
yeah,
want announcery. They want really conversational. They want it to sound really authentic. So,
yeah,
actors who are really into the truth, that really know how to find the truth in terms of how they approach a character and a scene, um, do really well.
yeah,
They do really well. The other types of people that do really well are people that just have great instincts, that are not necessarily even professional actors, but they have great instincts and they have a natural personality. They have a gift for just, bringing joie de vivre to the, to the audition, to the self tape. And that's what books. That's
Yeah.
what's working. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about what books for sure. Now, I
Hmm.
love the fact you're talking about some of the people that have still die hard, like in persons, because every time
Hmm.
you look at comments and everything, you're like, "I want to go back in person." I'm
Yeah.
okay with not being in person because I'm 2.5 hours away, 3.5 on the way back
Hmm.
for what I call dance monkey dance. Hey, Will, how's it going? I'm good. Yeah, ready? Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Will. I'll see you later. Two and a
Yeah.
6 hours later, I may get a call back and I got to come back. So I'm okay with that because it saves you resources and money on rent. The only people I know love Dan Bell,
Hmm. Love
and I
Dan
went
Bell.
to 200 La Brea last week
Yeah.
to go in there,
Yeah.
no lines, MOS, and be a Top Gun commander. Didn't
Right.
get a call
Right.
back, but
Right.
point is that I went in there just to go like this and watch the girls speak, and
Right. Right.
I'm like, okay, that's useful. But the point is that there was no one there. Now, 200 La Brea, that place can look like a
Yeah.
fucking Greyhound station.
For sure.
Like
It's
every one of the doors,
Yeah, it's
one,
Ross Lacey and Allison
one.
Horn. Yeah.
Yeah, one place. Only one of the places was open and doing any in-person auditions. The rest were empty.
Mm,
So bob and weave. Bottom line
yeah.
is that they're really going to do, and I say this all the time, is hey, you know what we're going to do in person, and I'm like, kind of thinking to myself, why? Because you're going to tape it like I would do at home,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it is what it is. You do what you feel comfortable with, so that's awesome.
Yeah. I think that there's pros and cons to both self tapes and in person auditions, and
I agree.
neither one is perfect. I mean, neither one is going to deliver a great experience, a perfect experience to
True.
any actor. I mean, there's pros and cons to it. So, you have to just roll with the punches and you have to do what you need to do to work. That's
Yeah,
why acting is not for the faint of heart.
it is. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and about 2 years ago, she said to me, she goes, "Dad, I want to talk to you about something." I go, "Okay." And I'm like, "What's that?" And she goes, "I am thinking about wanting to be an actor. What's your advice?" I went, "Don't." Okay. Because you
Yeah,
literally have
yeah.
to love the game. You
Hmm.
literally have to be okay with people going, "You're a piece of shit," and no,
Hmm.
however you want to, transcribe what they're giving you,
Hmm. Yeah,
and you have to be able to continue to push forward. And I've been doing
you
this for
do.
35 plus years. You as
Yeah.
well. And it is definitely something that is. Look at what's happened. It's changed. It's bobbed. It's weaved.
Hmm.
But when you
Hmm.
get the one audition and you book it, whether it's an Oppenheimer or it's a independent film, you just got to say to yourself, you can finally go like this because no one's going to do this and they're
Right.
rarely going to give you this. So with that being said, sounds like a fun career to me.
It's not for everybody.
No,
um, which is why most agents and managers, they don't want to start with people who are development, because they want people that have already gone through the bumps and scrapes and bruises, and really understand how the game is played. um, so yeah, I don't blame most. I don't blame reps for wanting to weed out people
of
that
course.
are not professionals.
Well,
um, yeah.
look, 15, 20 years ago, we would go to an audition right when everything was kind of going digital, and you maybe have 100 people, max. But now
Hmm.
you can have 4,500 people. So
Hmm.
big note for actors, get your shit in right away. Early bird
Oh
catches the
yeah.
worm and gets noticed because I know some casting directors go,
Mm-hmm.
"I watch all of them." I bet you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
when
yeah,
you got 4,500 and
yeah,
and
yeah,
some nepo
yeah.
I'm kidding, I won't get into that.
No.
But it's something that you have to learn and keep your ear to the ground
Yeah,
constantly.
yeah.
Otherwise, the odds are just not stacked against you. But let me ask you a question as a owner, creator of what you've done in the agency. Of course, I'm talking to Rick Ferrari, who is Ferrari Agency, primary commercial, right?
That's it. But
Okay.
yeah, we just stick to commercials and voiceover,
Okay.
because that's what I spent the last 16, 17 years doing, and I did it successfully. So I figured if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely.
I have great alliances with, from the biggest to the mid-size to the boutique, theatrical agents. And I love being, Switzerland, where I don't have a theatrical department. So I'm not really, you know, uh, yeah, we do
Yeah,
well enough with commercials. So that should speak for itself. We do well enough with
it does.
commercials where we don't have to do anything else.
Right. Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you really quickly. You talked about, we said a lot of times agencies that are looking to pick people up or their actors are looking to get picked up.
Hmm.
One of the things that I think comes into play a lot is the mental game. And in this
Hmm.
day and age where everybody is duly, should be, concerned about everybody's mental health, um,
Hmm.
when you go through your actors, uh, do you see any of this changes affecting their sort of like professional mental health?
Yes. I mean, there's all sorts of people that are attempting, like we said earlier, it's not for everybody. So there's all sorts of people that react differently. And of course, I don't have as much engagement with actors as maybe a manager would.
Right.
Um, but I definitely I offer my services with a management twist to it because I'm definitely much more personalized than the average commercial agent. But so I get to witness people's mental health being challenged by certain aspects of how they're approaching the business, how they're approaching having a career. I'm really honest with people, and if I think that it's not something that they should be pursuing, I respectfully offer that as a suggestion,
That's
and
great.
I tell them there's nothing wrong with browsing, with window shopping, with trying acting, because you never walk away from the acting profession with a waste of time. You always
No.
end up gaining so much life experience, so much value that you can bring to producing or casting or real estate or any
Right.
other career that you decide to that any other career that you gravitate towards that you find is truly your calling. So
Right.
I think that it's a wonderful thing for young people to explore. Not just young people. I even encourage older people. I've started people in their 60s,
Yeah.
you know, uh, you know, but it's a wonderful thing to experience. So,
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah.
I agree with you on that. And, best way I could put it is it's like public speaking with costumes. The bottom, the bottom line is that, look, back in the day, all I wanted to do for the first 20 years of my life was a musical theater. I mean, I
Hmm.
did about 150 shows. I danced, Cicchetti ballet, all this other stuff I do, dance,
Hmm.
sing, act, and all that, and that's all I wanted to do. But then I quickly
Hmm.
realized that I was going to starve because I'm not in New York and regional theaters. But the point is that you know. Uh, all the skills that I watched, because I worked at a musical theater school, a very large one for a while. And what I found, it's interesting now, seeing a lot of the students that I had, because I also taught commercial coaching and so on, back with John Robert Powers. Oh, shit. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. $1,000 headshots, everybody. Boom. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. But the point is that,
Barbizon. Do you remember Barbizon models?
yes, I'm
Yeah.
sure they remember themselves
Pimping.
too,
Yeah.
but I try to forget them. But the thing is that I watch people that were younger and now are adults with kids, and they reach out to me and go, I don't think there's anything better than what I did with your classes and the musical theater school, because now instead of being the wallflower, they're the ones out there in the front, sales,
Yeah.
marketing, doing their stuff. They don't have
Hmm.
a problem because they've done this thing with themselves that they're confident enough to know that they can do it. And a lot of that
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
from this. I mean, you may not
Yeah.
end up an A-lister, but you
Yeah.
certainly can get a wonderful kick on whatever you are going to do and be like a force to be reckoned with. So I agree.
Let's get into what people want to know about commercials and the
Yeah,
commercial industry, and let's get into it.
absolutely.
Um, what
What are you seeing?
I'm seeing, I'm seeing that it's not as tilted towards people of color only. where it became almost an extreme thing. Um, but you have to understand that the advertising agencies are there to protect the brands.
Hmm.
The advertising agencies are there to err on the side of caution for their brands.
Of
And
course.
they, and when Black Lives Matter happened and COVID happened, there was already a huge movement to make sure that there was more inclusivity in Hollywood and in films, television, and of course, advertising, commercials, and modeling. So, those ad agencies, they represent those brands. And so they are there to advise them and say, well, you know, in your commercial that we're about to shoot, we don't suggest that the idealized beauty be, a blonde hair, blue eyed man or
Right.
woman. We suggest that you go a different route, even if it's someone Caucasian, then maybe you go more Mediterranean, with brown hair, brown eyes, etc. But the pendulum has swung a little bit more into the middle, and there's a lot more um, inclusivity everywhere. I mean, there's definitely more roles now than there were 3 or 4 years ago for Caucasian actors, which is
Yeah.
nice. I mean, it's definitely sort of evened out all over the place. And but what I can say is that model types or the very obvious leading men and women types, there are very few roles offered to them in commercials nowadays because most advertising agencies are advising their brands to go real, to go very authentic. They are telling their brands, listen, people are responding to influencers that are on social
Yep.
media that are just everyday people that have something interesting about them. They're responding to casting that looks really authentic, that looks like
Right.
real people.
Right.
And, so of course, there's always a cool commercial that has some sort of um, interesting creative happening where they do cast, an obvious, leading man or woman. But, it's definitely not a bread and butter land for people that look like Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie.
No, and let me just throw this out and say to you again, we go back to the UGC stuff, which is user
Hmm.
generated content, and
Yeah.
also ambassadors and influencers. I mean, let's look at this. I mean, the vertical has come out, and it's all of a
Hmm.
sudden, blah, 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 blah. It's the most amazing thing. I mean, I remember about a year ago, before SAG said, "Hey, we're going to
Yeah.
start trying to get verticals," and we talked
Yeah.
about this briefly, but when they said we're going to, we're going vertical and we're going to try to do this, well, before that, everybody was saying, "Oh, don't do verticals because
Don't do
they're
verticals. Yeah,
crap."
exactly.
But
Right.
now,
Right.
because, but let's be
Yeah.
realistic. The reason why you're seeing now that influencers, and look, the industry, I'm just going to say across the board from theatrical to commercial, has vastly changed and will continue to, because look at the vertical space. You're talking about
Hmm.
young people, and some of these
Hmm.
young people are getting $2,500 a day. And
Hmm.
they're taking us. I'm not going to scream ageism, but I get pretty good on those because I have a couple of credits. And the point is that, but what they're doing is they're saying that, look, if we know that the influencers and the demographic is pushing the dollar, why
Right.
would you think that we would try to go after something that didn't work? So now
Right.
everybody
Right.
is falling in the line with that, and the commercials are really about, again, the UGC, the user generated
Hmm.
content, and being real people, because influencers don't know shit about, like, I'm going to go to be or not to be, buy my products. And they're like, oh God, or sound like a radio announcer. All they know is, like, all they want to do is do weird shit and do like hooks and go like this and go, I'm back. And then you're going to go, oh, I want to watch that. And then,
Yeah.
so it's a wild
Well,
west out there,
well,
without a doubt.
well. Just to add a caveat, though, Will, there are actors who are also influencers, and they are a certain percentage of the influencer market. But there are many more influencers that are not actors. So I
Yeah.
mean, so there are some actors that have managed to become influencers. Um, so I wouldn't say that all influencers are unable to act, because there are some who are actually actors, but it's a smaller percentage for sure. Absolutely, for sure. The rest is just people that have something compelling about them, or say something compelling that, that find an audience. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that at
Not at
all.
all.
I think every industry, everything changes all the time, and you have to be prepared for change. If you're not, then you're going to be dragged kicking and screaming. You have to be adaptable. That's one thing that I learned early on in my career, which is why at the age of 60, um,
Who,
you know,
you?
yeah,
What a
yeah,
liar. What are you,
yeah,
like
at the age
45
of
or
60.
something?
No, at the age of 60, that's why I still express myself, thanks to Harry Styles, I can wear pearls, and, thanks to all of the changes that have happened, sociologically, I don't have to dress in a suit. Agents used to have to dress in a suit and tie. Some of them still do. God bless them. Um, but there's always going to be changes, and you have to be prepared for those
Agreed.
changes, and you have
Yeah.
to adapt. And as an actor, you know, you have to, approach it as you have to just know full well that there's going to be a ton of auditions that don't go anywhere. I feel bad almost for the person who starts their career off with a booking. I feel bad for them
Ah,
because
absolutely.
they think that that's how it's going to go. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, I did my first audition and I booked, or oh, I did 3 auditions and I booked. And they have something in store for them. They have a sobering moment that's going to happen where they realize that I mean, let's face it, it happens to the actor that gets picked up, that gets cast for a series regular, and then the show only lasts for 1 season. You know what I mean? But the actor has already had people around them fill their heads with, oh, here it is. You're going to be a star. This is the game changer. This is
Right.
it.
Right.
And I've always been of the mindset in representing actors. I tell them, slow your roll. Just because this is happening doesn't mean that you are done with auditioning,
The
and
work.
the humility of starting from scratch, and
Yeah.
having to get out there and audition for parts, and much smaller parts that are not series regular.
Right.
um, so I try to temper their expectations by, even though it's none of my business, when they're talking about something theatrical, I'm their commercial agent. I care about them, and I care about how they react to, oh my God, I just got cast as a series regular in this Netflix show opposite so and so this is going to be what's going to make me a star. And
Yeah.
then, it doesn't. So, I try to keep their heads on straight so that they realize that it's just one day at a time, and the work comes and the work goes, and it ebbs and flows in such a big way that you have to know how to surf,
Right.
basically.
Well, you're saying something really important, and I think I want to kind of strengthen what you're saying by saying you have an agency and you have a reputation. And even though you said, look, I'm not going to put hands on too much with my actors and blah, blah, blah. But in essence, you really have to, because what you're doing
Hmm.
is you're cultivating people that you believe in. And the
Hmm.
problem is that if you have people going off the rail, walking into auditions going, and why am I here? Why shouldn't I? I should be in the front. And then you get a call going,
Hmm.
hey,
Hmm.
that guy's a jackass. Don't send
Hmm.
him in again. And
Right,
that's
right,
your
right.
agency.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
number one, that's why a lot of agencies aren't grabbing newbies. And
Hmm.
all this whole influence thing is great, but there's
Hmm.
a segment for those folks. But you
Hmm.
have to be cultivating these people on all mind, body, soul in a way. Because if you
That's true.
don't, then they're going to wind up and people are going to look at you and go, oh, how many times does an actor go, oh, that agency?
Ah.
Uh, well, and that's
It's
and in this
true.
day and age,
It's true.
people are flocking to working with people and teams and never getting rid of them because they
Mm.
don't have to work every single time to find new people. One stop shop. And
Right, right.
obviously if Rick can give them one stop shop and he knows that their
Hmm.
people are in line and they're professional, they look good, they're whatever, then they don't
Hmm.
have to go anywhere. And isn't that really what this new whole movement is towards?
It is. It is. It absolutely is.
Okay, I
Yes.
want to do a quick commercial. I hope you don't mind. On the bottom of here, you see that it says howtoselftape.com. It is a website that I created. I started about a year and a half ago, really coding and putting this all together. It is a one-stop shop of any actor tool.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about renaming it based upon a Yoda that came to me and said, maybe you should change it. Anyway, just because it has a scene
It's so
analysis, it has a
comprehensive. It's so comprehensive. It's fucking. I'm sorry, I said
that's
fucking.
all right.
Um, it's fucking amazing. It really is.
I appreciate that.
It's very comprehensive. I took the tour and I really think it's genius. I think it's a genius, and you can tell all the compassion that went into it. That the compassion for actors, for your fellow actors. It really, you can tell that you thought of every detail for them. That where they would need help to to navigate themselves in the waters of auditioning.
Yeah, and in general, the business and like a casting director I spoke to said, this is not just something for self taping. You can
Right.
actually make monologues. You can work on your
Hmm.
acting craft. By the way, thank you for that compliment. Can you hold up your Venmo, please? I'll give you that money you said.
Let me
But
just no see, go ahead,
yeah,
go ahead,
yeah, no,
sorry.
no, no, it's all right. But thank you very much. Check it out. By the way, I'm going to give you the secret word, and it's going to be Ferrari. If you send me a DM at the end of the show, Ferrari, I'm going to do something that I consider to be, and this has to do with acting as well, in the sense that my philosophy is, as you said, is I want to not only stay in the game, but I want to stay ahead of the game. Reason why I created howtoselftape.com and filmmakergenius.com is to be able to have people come to a community, ask questions, and someone wasn't always going to go, another fucking seminar, another blah, 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 blah. It's about me having
Yeah.
a philosophy to help people learn to get the edge, because this is, in my opinion, what acting is about. If you
Hmm.
don't love the game, I love the
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
showing you
yeah,
my
yeah.
muscles. I'm
Goosebumps.
just showing you my,
Goosebumps.
yeah, goosebumps. If you
Goosebumps.
don't
Yeah.
love the game, sometimes it's like getting in a show. I like the rehearsal more than I like the show, because you get to sit there and, isn't that, I mean, it's what we do.
Absolutely,
And we go,
absolutely.
oh,
Yes.
this is a
Yeah.
fucking great script. I did a commercial
Yeah.
yesterday. We were talking about with the fishermen. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, this is a cool script, and they want me to improv.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all these wonderful skills I want to bring into this whole equation, because right now people are walking around with like deer in the headlights, going, I don't freaking know where to go. Commercial, theatrical, UGC,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Anyway,
Hmm.
so I just want you to
That's
know,
right. That's
use
absolutely
the
right.
word Ferrari, and I'm going to give you a book that we're going to put together, that I'm going to give you, that will have our little mugs on it that will say commercial 2026 hack or whatever it is, to get this shit and move it along. All right. Let's say, let me do one more question or two. What do we got here? Oh, okay. I make sure that you don't have any appointments because you're busy.
No, I want to make sure that we cover what the actors really want to know.
Yeah, yeah. So if there's any questions, by all means. Oh, can I ask you a question? And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But do you have open spaces that people go, I'd love to submit and be considered to your agency, or no?
We
Be
have,
honest.
yeah, we have an email, info@ferraritalent.com. It's info, it's really easy, info@ferraritalent.com. Also, people DM us on Ferrari Talent Agency, which is our handle here on Instagram. So, yeah, we get them both ways. I will say that most of the people that we take meetings with are referrals, because referrals, we know that they're coming from people that sort of know the person, and know that they're not flaky, they're not problematic, they're serious about acting. So there's a lot to say about referrals. So it helps us not waste a lot of time just based on, oh, this person has a great look and they wrote me the right email and I want to take a meeting with them.
Yeah.
We're fortunate enough to have our plate be really full. But that's why I offer myself so much on social media are not represented. Actors who are represented.
Yeah.
I really, because just because I can't take meetings with everybody, and we're sort of we have limited space, doesn't mean that I don't have a desire to be helpful to the not just the actor community, but everybody out there who's pursuing a career in the performing arts. Because I've been fortunate enough to have experience in a lot of areas, music and modeling and acting and art direction and and casting. I mean, I've been all over the map.
Yeah.
So I want to be as helpful as I can. I just want to say, when you're auditioning for a commercial, just make sure that you are making real choices that are yours, that are your specific point of view. Make sure that you read the sides that are sent to you, notice the brand that you're auditioning for, and try to figure out, don't just figure out what your character is saying, figure out why they're saying it. Figure out why they're saying it and who they're saying it to, and add your own personal contribution. Be creative with it in a way that is subtle. Sometimes, subtle is what catches the casting director's eye.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just a beautiful little gesture that you did with your hand, or something that just felt so authentic, like you just rubbed your ear a certain way, or you sort of did this with your nose. And you know but don't be contrived with it. It has to come. It has to come from that real place, which is why the people that do the best in acting are people that really are truthful with themselves, about
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, I think I think what you're saying, and I want to put it in a couple of words, is that
Hmm.
relatability. I mean, I can get on because I love comedy, and I've been a comedic actor for many, many years. And now when I
Hmm.
went into Cowboy and Weapons, now everybody wants me to kill people, whatever, only on screen. But my point in saying that is that I can easily look at an audition and go, "Hey, I can do a bit here and do a bit here." But the
Hmm.
reality is that if I'm looking at you and I'm saying sincerely, it's like a comedian. Why are comedians that go knock knock as funny as the people go, "I was shaving the other day, and when I cut, I noticed that I had all these." You're
Hmm.
relating. So if you
Right,
can't
right.
relate in your audition, then you're done.
Hmm. Right,
Then you need to
right.
look in the mirror and see if you believe what you're saying to yourself.
That's
Because
right. That's
if
right.
you don't do
That's
that,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, but then that brings up the question, and I'm going to only briefly go over this question. I keep seeing now all these casting directors coming online going, "I love your audition in the phone booth, Nepo baby. I love your audition that you did swinging from a helicopter or on a horse. That's awesome." And I literally had a casting director when I reached out to her. Sorry, is it her? When I reached out to that person on DM, because I wouldn't have done it in front of everybody, I said, "I don't understand something. Why would you tell people that only certain actors can do that type of thing, and just because she was brilliant?" And I'm thinking to myself, how did you determine she was brilliant? And number two, why does that person get a license to go do it wherever they want? Now it's like the faucet has been turned on full, and people are like, "I'm shooting this in my underwear in the
Yeah,
toilet."
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, do you agree that if someone decides to go rogue, because think about it, let's say you got 1,400 people auditioning for Coca-Cola, and you
Right.
see the same green screen, you see the same blank, boom, blah, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah,
Hmm.
and you're
Hmm.
like, blah, 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 blah. As a casting director,
Hmm.
hey, I can't knock it. The guy on the horse or the person hanging from a helicopter got my attention. What's your
Yeah,
thought on
yeah.
that?
Well, my thought on it is that you're never going to please everyone. There's casting directors that would be vehemently against that, and there are casting directors that are passionately for it. So the only choice the actor's left with is to make their own choice, to make a choice that is really true to them. It's real inspiration. They read the sides and they were inspired to do something that felt right to them.
Right.
And stop listening to every single person's advice that's online, and start listening to yourself.
Yeah.
Start listening to your own internal gut. There's nothing worse for an audition than an actor that's trying to divinate what the producer or the casting director wants. What do
Yeah.
they want? What do they want? What do they want? They'll give you specific. instructions in the self-tape instructions, and the rest is entirely up to the actor to be inspired to do something.
Yeah.
So if they want to film their self-tape, hanging from a rope from a helicopter or in a bathtub, you know, great, terrific, hand it in, do your thing, but don't do it because you think
it's a
the
bit.
casting. Yeah, don't do it because you think it's going to get the casting director's attention. That's a wrong choice.
Yeah, I agree.
The right choice is to do it because you're inspired. You're authentically inspired to deliver the scene in that way.
Right.
So I mean, there's certain things that are technical that you have to follow, but other than that, make sure you have good picture, good sound. Those are always important because if they can't see you and they can't hear you, or either or,
that's called a voiceover. That's
a total waste of time. Yeah. Or it's a silent movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think
I agree.
That's my
with
opinion.
You.
Yeah,
no,
my
I
opinion
love
is
that opinion. I love that opinion, and I'm going to kind of cap that and say that our careers as a actor, creator, is they pay us to be creative. And
That's
if
right.
we're just going to do like a bit and so on, and I get it, then go to YouTube, create YouTube viral videos, hang from a thing, do a jackass thing, but be careful.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't serve you to just try to work the bit and do that. So, okay. So, with that being said, hey, you do union and non-union, right? You're franchised, correct?
We're not SAG franchised. We are SAG affiliated through ATA, the Association of Talent Agencies. So what that means is if an actor goes onto the SAG-AFTRA website, there are two drop-down menus. There's the SAG franchised agency drop-down menu, and then there's the SAG affiliated drop-down menu for affiliated through the Association of Talent Agents, and we are on that list. So there are two different drop-down menus. And we are definitely recognized by SAG, but we're recognized through our membership with the ATA, which is an awesome association to be with.
Absolutely.
I feel honored to be with them. But yeah, is there anything we?
Well, let me grab a question or two that I have here. First of all,
sure.
one of our partners, Brianna Oppenheimer, go figure. I met her. She started using the platform, and her last name's Oppenheimer. I'm like, well, there's fate.
Yeah, that's funny.
But she was asking. I love this question. How are you so balanced and grounded?
How am I so balanced and grounded?
I noticed that too.
I don't know. Maybe 12-step programs.
I'm only on 4. I'm only
on 4. I'm balanced and grounded because I've used the 60 years that I've been on Earth to experiment with not being grounded and balanced. I went to extremes. I had to, ride it till the wheels fell off. I had to be selfish. I had to be a pathological liar. I had to be lazy. I had to be a drug addict. I had to find myself, and I'm privileged enough to, operate from a place of love. Where I love myself first. I got the message. I got the memo loud and clear. You must love yourself first in order to love other people, or even less than that, to function in the world and to contribute to the world. And everybody wants to contribute. Everybody wants to be remembered. And it starts with self-love, and then it radiates outward, and if your choices on what you do are really sincerely about being honest and loving, then everything else sort of falls into place.
Yep.
Everything else just super falls into place. And I hope that answers her question.
I think it does, but it also confirms for me, and I'm not saying this just because you're on the program and whatever, but I immediately I'm giving you a compliment, so
okay,
record
I'll
this.
take it. Okay, here we go.
No, but
Yes.
no, I'm because I spent 30 something years as a talk show producer and on
Hmm.
air, and I'm
Hmm.
also, but I specialized in self help. So back then they
Hmm.
called it metaphysical, and I'm a
Right.
Reiki master. I'm a Reiki master. Plus, I
Oh,
have all these
wow.
other, yeah. So I
Yeah.
have a bunch of things. So when I say this, I mean it to you that mind, body, soul is that hey, first of all, we're both in the 80s, and we know what that means in regards to all those little vices. But the
Sure.
reality is that you came out and in more than ways than one, and you are giving yourself. I mean, the first thing you did when I got on the Zoom with you to show you how to self tape, you went, check out my nails, dude.
Check
And
out my
like, look at my
nails, dude.
pearls. And
Oh,
you know
we're
what?
supposed to. Yeah, we have to plug my nails because I go to Ibiza Nails and they're fantastic.
Is
Um,
there a promo code for that?
we, just tell them Ferrari sent you.
I
That's
will.
all
They're
you got to
like,
do.
wait,
Yeah.
you parked your Ferrari where? But no, and I mean this sincerely because this industry is the first industry that, well, I should say the last industry that people who are not secure with themselves should do.
Oh,
Bottom line.
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know what? People always ask me the same exact thing as an actor. They DM
Yeah.
me, they call me,
Yeah. Yeah.
I go to film
Yeah.
festivals and they go,
Uh-huh.
how do you deal with the fact that you do so many auditions and they say no? And I go, well, it's simple.
Yeah.
They go,
Yeah.
how, why? I go, when I do it, it's over. It's
Yeah,
over.
man. Isn't
Because
that,
if you
I
hold
mean,
on to everything
yeah.
like I did when I started, then the problem is that you're going to have this self and you're going to become that angry old person going, get off my
Yeah,
lawn.
you
You can't
only, but
have that.
here's the thing. I want to interject something right here. I think it's really, really important. You have to suck at something for a while before you become great at it.
Yeah.
And especially if it's something that the world at large admires and is super impressed with. So whether you're a football player that ends up in the NFL, or whether you're a ballerina that ends up at ABT, whether you're a singer that ends up getting signed to, Sony, uh, you have to sort of, I mean, everybody who goes out there and wants to become a professional athlete or be in the Olympics, they have to be so disciplined and they have to be so patient with themselves. And they have to have coaches that are hard on them and don't go easy on them. So for actors, man, I mean, that's your version of this.
Yeah.
You got to do a shit ton of auditions.
Yeah.
You got to do a shit ton of auditions that don't go anywhere. But if you're looking for the audition to pay off by being granted the job, you're missing the target.
Yeah.
The audition is the workout. It's the workout. You go to the gym, you work out, and that's it. You know what I mean? You leave the gym. We all understand how workouts work. We
Mm-hmm.
don't leave the gym after an hour of a workout and then go to the mirror and go, well, did I get
What's up?
something?
Yeah.
Did I get something? I look the same to myself. I don't understand. Why am I doing this? It's something that you have to sort of put out of your mind and continue forth perpetually, and just have faith that you're going somewhere, even if
Yeah.
you don't necessarily see the progress that you're making.
Right.
So, if you're not ready to do an infinite number of auditions and come close to this and close to that, or book this and then you get canceled, or you finally booked it and then you get cut out, if you're not prepared for all of that, then
Go work at
don't
Starbucks. They'll
don't
tell you
don't
exactly what to do. And
don't
I'm not knocking
either.
Starbucks
Yeah.
people, by the way.
No, 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 no. And you were saying this industry is not for people who aren't secure in themselves or confident in themselves. I think it's also good for people who are really super insecure, that want to achieve confidence, that want to achieve a certain character
Yeah.
about themselves. And if they're willing to, put in the work, then this industry will certainly whip them into shape after a while.
Yeah.
So I think there's two kinds. There's the people that enter into acting already confident, and there are the other kind that, enter with complete, they're lost. They don't know who they are. they don't feel secure in who they are. They come from a home where they were told that they were inferior, or they never got attention and they were neglected or whatnot. And and through the process of entering into the business and sticking with it, they come out of the cocoon a butterfly.
Well, I'll tell you what you just
Yeah.
said. I call, when I teach or do film festival interviews, I call it seeding. And here's what that means.
Seating. Yeah.
What basically it means is that if you wake up in the morning and you go, I'm going to throw some seeds over my shoulder in that box out there. I'm going to do a little
Hmm.
watering. In the
Yeah.
70s, we used to talk to our plants. Now every
Yeah.
once in a while we talk to our kids. Anyway, point
Yeah.
is that when you do that, if you wake up the next day and look out there and expect to see something growing, you're looking at it the
Yeah.
wrong way. It
Yeah.
is a long game and not a sprint. It is a
Yeah.
marathon and not a sprint. So I
Yeah.
totally get what you're saying, and I agree with you. And yes, you can work your way out of any kind of situations. And this industry tends to get a lot of people. Like, I did a lot of theater, and I watched a lot of confused people come into theater
Hmm.
and go, "What
Yeah.
do I do?" And they
Hmm.
found the community. But what you
Right.
have to be
Right.
able to do, as you said, is you have to constantly be able to learn and go forward. If you're
That's
sitting
right.
there going, I know everything, I'm okay. This is why I've always said I'm glad I didn't become a child star, because I mean it's the truth. Because
Yeah.
I'm great with where I'm at. We'll get be
Yeah.
an A-lister sooner. But point is that I'm just saying this because back then in the beginning I was like, ooh, I'm gonna be famous. And it's going to be wonderful. And look at
Yeah.
me. And I had a lot of opportunities. And even recently, I talk about Oppenheimer. I mean,
Yeah.
7 Academy Awards. I'm in the trailer. I mean, it's awesome. And I thought, hell yeah. Well, guess what?
Hmm.
The industry sort
Yeah.
of collapsed. But it's okay because I feel good inside and I can go,
Hmm.
yes, you've done it.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
all what I did to do it. But
Yeah.
it is something that you have to continuously keep yourself humble.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
I
Um,
want to ask you. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was just saying, I'm gonna have to go back to work in a
Yes,
second.
you are. I was about to let you go.
I have to book some talent. I have to book the talent that represent me. They're probably on here going, "Hey, what's he doing? Not working
Why?
for me right now?
Why aren't you submitting me?
Why aren't you negotiating for me right now?"
Absolutely.
Um,
So I want to end this off by the way, if you DM us or me or
yeah.
both of us,
Yeah.
and put the word Ferrari,
Yeah.
I'm putting together a collaboration. My team is out there putting it together,
Yeah.
Sal and Brianna,
Yeah.
and we're putting
Okay.
together this book about all the things we said. And I'm
Yeah.
going to probably beg you to come back again. So get your Venmo. And maybe I'm going to try to convince you to maybe make this into you're my commercial guy. I'm going to keep checking with you.
Happy, dude. I'm happy to, as long as you invite me onto your other show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the big one.
The big
But
one.
thank you again, Rick Ferrari and Ferrari
Thank you.
Agency.
Thank
Definitely
you.
going about things the right way. And
Thank
what
you.
I mean by that is that he's not just a button pusher. In the industry, we call a lot of the agents button pushers. They go, well, why am I auditioning for a guy who's 95? Don't you know my? And they're like, I know, but we can make
Sure.
10% or 20 on
Sure.
90.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So
Exactly.
thank you
Crazy.
for being who you are. Any last
Thank
pearl of
you.
wisdom that you might
Thank
want to give
you.
us?
Yeah. I mean, what do I want to say? You know, just take it one day at a time, man. Take it one day at a time, and don't panic. Don't panic. Just look at yourself and see what you've done for your career this week. You know, and don't point the finger at your manager. Don't point the finger at your agent or your roommate. Don't point the finger at your boyfriend or girlfriend, or just look at what you've done this week for your career. And if all you've done this week for your career is act in some studio, that's great. That's fantastic.
It's a step.
Or, you've rehearsed something, all weekend, or you taped one thing, or, submitted yourself on three or four things. Um, do that,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of
good.
great work out there that is not paying enough for agents to submit on.
Right.
So actors that are still building their career should be looking at those projects. They should be
Absolutely.
looking at scripts. They should be looking at, you know, director reels, reading scripts. They should be auditioning for things that could possibly be, you know, the next Quentin Tarantino, so
Or and so before you leave me, just hang tight. I'm going to end this thing by saying that look, I am totally confident to say that actors are also filmmakers. Filmmakers are actors. The
yeah.
reality is that what we're facing right now is probably the best time in the world in time to be an actor, and the worst time,
Yep.
because you have to be able to take control of it, learn from it. I
Hmm.
don't care where you
Yeah.
go. Certainly, I'd love you to go to howtoselftape.com
Hmm.
and get all those tools. Thank you for the kind words about my site and my app. Um,
Totally sincere.
I appreciate it. And the
Yeah.
bottom line is this, is that we're here to try to make sure that what you do and every step that you do, I said do, anyway, allows you to understand that you will stand alone and have the confidence. Because I'm telling you right now, if you ever wonder what the one key thing about being a successful actor is and getting in the room and booking it, confidence. And confidence doesn't come
Yeah.
from you going, I'm amazing, and you going in the
No.
background going, I'm a piece of shit. It's about knowing, learning, listening, and
Yeah.
continuing that momentum. As you said, Rick, you're awesome. I'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time. I'm going to force you to come on again, but on the
You don't
big
have to.
show, and we'll
Thank
talk
you.
to you soon, okay?
Thank you, Will. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
brother. Be
All right.
well.
Bye.
All
Bye.
right. He's going to go away. And by the way, everybody, again, I'm just going to say this to you right out. Use the word Ferrari and put it in the direct message. If you don't do this, it's up to you. I don't give a shit. Don't put it in there. We're going to put together a collab book on what we both said. We're going to give it to you for best four-letter word in the English language, free. And check out howtoselftape.com. We have a 7-day trial. You get some credits. Check it out. If you have any questions about that platform, I'm going to tell you straight from the horse's mouth. It's me. Make me trick rope here. Get her done. If you have any questions, I will gladly, I'm going to put a group together every week, going on Zoom or Google Meets and showing you how to use these. It'll blow your mind and you will get self-tapes done that will be unbelievable and your acting will elevate. Thanks for hanging out with me. I love all this. I'll see you soon. And yeah, check it out. Remember the word. Word, not grease. That's not the word. See you soon.